A national campaign led by Omni Financial Group aimed to raise awareness about the SandDollar, the Bahamas' digital currency, by educating the public on how it works, its benefit, and its role in building a more inclusive digital economy. This morning, we are joined by Omni CEO, Davinia Bain. She's here to tell us all about it. Good morning and welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. So tell us, as the CEO of Omni, what is it that's so important about the SandDollar and how are you focused on communicating that to people?
Yeah. I would start off with a piece of honesty. A couple of years back, I wasn't a big proponent of the SandDollar. And anybody that knows me and watching the show right now would basically say that. I think it wasn't until I started with Omni and I sort of got to understand a lot about the SandDollar, the tech, the capabilities that are underutilized right now. That's when I got excited. From a financial services point of view, I see the SandDollar as a piece of compliance, really. It's a portable way to confirm that the person that you're dealing with, in one way or the next, has been vetted by some AFI, some approved financial institution. And that became very interesting for me and the things that we can do on top of that. But in a layman's way, a more broad understanding, it's just digital money, it's digital currency. The main difference between the SandDollar and what a number of the fintechs have been doing, you have eCash versus SandDollar. eCash is computer money. Right? It's a notch saying, okay, you gave me $1 at some point, somewhere on my ledger I have $1 for you. The difference with SandDollar is the central bank has that dollar for you.
Yeah.
And so if for any reason you can't claim that SandDollar from the AFI that you got it from, you can go to any other AFI or you could go directly to the central bank. So there's a different level of comfort that consumers are finding and merchants with SandDollar compared to any other competitors.
Yeah, that speaks to a level of credibility, really.
Absolutely.
Like you said, that's one of the things that people have been skeptical about in the past when it comes to digital currency. But this is a central bank backed digital currency, which is so important to the conversation. Speaking of the importance of the conversation, what do some of those activations look like? What are the promotional plans that you have? What are the tangibles of this campaign?
Yeah. So I'm going to say that it isn't necessarily a promotional campaign. Our first goal was to understand what's going on. Are people using it? Are businesses using it? If they are, why? If they aren't, why? And that's why we did the survey. And the survey basically told me that, look, there are loads of people that are aware of the SandDollar. I mean, 85% of all of the respondents were aware. About half, or just under half, said that they understood what the purpose was. And then there was like a good section that was a maybe. So easily 70-odd% either knew definitively the purpose or sort of understood the purpose. Very small amount didn't have a clue. That also tells me that, look, there's a lot of penetration with this understanding of what it's all for. Then why is the utilization where it is, right? That's what we have to think about. And fortunately, we got some insights on that. One of the biggest things that people said was that, look, who accepts it? Where can I spend it? Like I personally helped a good number of persons download the SandDollar on that day, and we gave them a top up to get them going and connected it to their bank account so they could move money easily from their bank to the wallet or from the wallet to the bank. And in doing that, they were like, so, miss, where am I supposed to spend this? And I told them, well, I know I spend it at the food store. The next day, a couple of people went trying to spend it at the food store, and they text back saying, hey, the food store said they don't accept it anymore, right? And so sometimes it's easy, sometimes it isn't. And I'm not painting it as a negative thing. I'm just saying that there needs to be a different level of either commitment or incentive from the merchants
Yeah.
to understand the value of this tech, of this currency, and stay on board with it. You know, we have over 140,000 wallets. Maybe it was those festivals that you mentioned, you know, that you participated in, but that's a lot. That's what, almost half, now about 40% of our population, somewhere around there. We need to get with it from a merchant point of view.
Absolutely. You know, SandDollar has been, well, first of all, we set ourselves apart as the first country with a central bank backed digital currency. So really, you would think we would be leading the way with this. And in terms of the tech, we are, but not in terms of the uptake.
Yeah.
You mentioned, of course, that conversion issue. What have been some of the other barriers in terms of, you know, having it really utilized?
So according to the survey, you know, like I said, the merchant uptake was the largest barrier mentioned. The other barrier was that some people just don't understand how to use the app. I think the app is very simple, but you know, I'm accustomed to it. Like when you've been exposed to it for other reasons, it's easy to jump from one digital asset app to another, right? But I think more work has to be done with making it comfortable. And I think as simple as the part about, you know, attaching your bank account, to this day, there's still lots of people that weren't aware that you could easily attach your bank account because they're saying, well, how do I add money to it? And how do I take the money off? Well, that was already built into the system. But honestly, the other reasons really aren't as large as the merchant. And I'm sorry if I'm really, you know, uber focused on the merchants. I think part of the the idea with the merchants too is when you look at small businesses, for example, more than half of our economy, more than half of all of the businesses in our economy are small businesses. You know, they employ, again, a very large majority of all of the employees in our country, but their revenues are not proportionate, right? We understand the mechanics there. However, they're the ones paying 5% for Visa swipes. And then we wonder why they haven't jumped in to the digital economy the way we would like. And it's because it's just expensive. A 5% on your bottom line as a small business is a lot. You know, we looked at so many business plans where the entrepreneurs were struggling to make a net profit margin of, 10%. When the investors are coming in blazing, saying, look, we want a minimum of 20%. Well, these guys are losing 5% just on Visa.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the use case we need to preach more about, that if, the central bank has already done a great job getting 140,000 people to actually have a wallet, if we had more people accepting it, the impact even that it can have on these small businesses is significant, because now the merchant fees will be a lot less for them, and now everybody can be digital. Now the innovators in our economy start to create things with SandDollar. You see new apps that accept SandDollar in one way or the next. Now we could have some fun once everybody jumps on board, both on the merchant side and on the consumer side.
Right, because SandDollar was created as the solution, to a lot of the challenges that we have in terms of banking throughout the community, not just in New Providence, but of course, targeting at our family islands. After this survey activity, what were the final takeaways that are motivating the way that you approach the education process?
I think it's still very personal for me as a business person. For example, one of the things that was highlighted like right away, why can't I pay taxes in SandDollar? It's really a pain having to do multi-day swipes because my card can't swipe, more than a certain value to pay VAT. Why can't I pay VAT in SandDollar and other taxes, other government fees? Like, there's so much that can be done to ease the pain for small businesses. And we've spent a lot of time focusing on the consumer and SandDollar. And it's obvious that work has been done, but there needs to be more. And that's the main takeaway.
And it sounds like those small businesses really need to join the charge to advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. For those who are watching, again, because a lot of people, I think, haven't really made use of it because they're skeptical, they are nervous about the fact that it's a digital resource. You know, if the computers die or if the system goes down, am I going to lose all my money? Give them an encouragement of why SandDollar is a good choice for them.
One of the fears is that, okay, what if I lose my passcode, right? So again, in the digital asset space, if you lose your keys, God help you. You're not going to get that crypto back. But in the CBDC, because of the infrastructure with the AFIs, like that's the Omnis, the Canoes, the Suncashes of the world, that AFI can help you, after a certain level of verification, recover access to your account. So that's one layer of you don't have to stress, right? On the other side, in terms of computers going down, et cetera, there's so many layers of backup. At the AFI level, at the central bank level, that won't be a problem. If an AFI closed down, it doesn't impact your money. You can go to any AFI to interact with the SandDollar on your wallet because it's operable with any of the providers. So there are many things that the central bank has designed in the process as safety for the consumer and the merchants. There's really nothing to worry about from all of the angles that I've seen. I think the biggest thing is we want to encourage people to use it. The Bahamas right now easily has over 100,000 non-Bahamian residents who do not find it as easy to access financial services, especially financial services that really you only interact with through the banks or with cards, etc. How many of these immigrant parts of our community are walking in to buy insurance or walking into, to use their insurance for healthcare. So we talk about strain on healthcare, but we don't figure out getting them access to insurance, and part of it because they're really excluded from a lot of our financial services. So proper adoption of SandDollar for all of the people in our community, I think helps to expand the offering of financial services in general. And so that's one of the major things when we talk about the safety of the currency. Is not just the mechanics of it, but what does it do for our economy? What does it do for the social and economic aspects of where we're trying to go in our economy? Yeah.
That is spot on with the digital inclusion or just financial inclusion for everyone using these digital means, which is the way SandDollar was initially presented to me.
Absolutely.
So I will encourage you to keep preaching your message
Thank
and
you.
keep
Thank
signing
you.
up for SandDollar. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us about this.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.